So in this video, I want to give you my honest advice if you're thinking about selling on Amazon. And let me get this out of the way right now. This is not going to be a tutorial video. I want to share with you some things that I think are really important to understand if you're thinking about getting into this business. This video is going to be my honest advice for a new Amazon seller. My name is Brad, and I've been selling on Amazon for almost 6 years. And if you're saying, who the hell is this guy and why does what he's saying matter? Well, last year, my Amazon business did over $7.5 million in sales. And because of this, I've been able to do some really cool things, like travel to different parts of the country to meet with my clients, all while my business continues to generate thousands in profit every single day. Now, I don't say this to brag by any means. I say this because 6 years ago, when I made the decision to start my business, I was broke, in college, saddled by student debt, and quite frankly, I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. Simply put, I was scared for my future. And if you had told me all this success would happen from a decision that I made 6 years ago when I was in college at the lowest point in my life, I would have told you you're crazy. If I can do it, so could you. Amazon can be a life-changing business, but the realities of this business can be a hard pill to swallow. It's why most Amazon sellers quit within the first 6 months of starting. So the biggest thing I want to talk about is the state of mind that it takes to be in this business. I'm a bit hesitant to use the words mindset and goal setting because so many people talk about this and it might seem like it's a bunch of fluff.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
You might be thinking it doesn't work, and I get that because when I first started learning how to sell on Amazon, I just wanted the information. I wanted somebody to tell me the exact information of what to do when I watched a video on YouTube. But I think it's really important for new Amazon sellers to understand that your mindset is not fluff. Your state of mind is your biggest leverage point as an entrepreneur. You can propel yourself faster than 90% of people, leading you to massive growth and profitability for your business simply by shifting your perspective and thinking differently than other people. It's called a paradigm shift, and it's something that I think every entrepreneur goes through at a certain point on their journey. So this paradigm shift, it's this fundamental change that you have in your underlying thoughts and beliefs. And let me give you an example. When I first made the decision to start my business, I actually decided that I was going to be an entrepreneur and sell things online when I was broke in college on spring break in Miami. And I actually was not just broke, I was negative because I had student loans. I had about $30,000 in student loans. I had zero job lined up. I had no idea what I wanted to do. And at that time, just being in Miami, surrounded by so much wealth and just shiny objects, and seeing myself completely broke, not knowing what I wanted to do, I knew that I didn't want to live a life of mediocrity. I knew that I didn't want to be locked into a 9-to-5 where I didn't have the freedom of time, quite frankly. And the most important thing was that I knew I wanted to take my time and spend it with friends and family and not be locked into a job that I hated. I needed fulfillment in my life, and I really didn't know where to go at that point. So my paradigm shift happened in that moment. My paradigm shift actually happened before I started my business. It was the catalyst that made me start my business. For some reason, just being in this position of being at the lowest point in my life in Miami, broke college student, it propelled me forward and it changed my thinking patterns. And I have to credit this moment because if my thinking patterns didn't change in this moment, I might never be where I am today. And that's the biggest thing, I think. You know, whether you're just starting to sell on Amazon, whether you're in the middle of your journey or you're on the path to success, I think every entrepreneur has this moment. It's an underlying change in how they think. And what this accomplishes for you on your entrepreneurial journey, it's a change in behavior. And that's the biggest thing, is that this, your mindset, it creates a change in behavior. And it allows you to execute much more efficiently. And so the actions that you take in your business are not a lot of fluff. So whether you're just starting out or you're somewhere in the middle of your journey, take some time and think about where your mind is at. So remember, the mindset is the most important thing. Without your mindset, nothing else works. That being said, thinking is the hardest work we do. Your beliefs are everything. Throughout this business, you're going to go through highs and lows, but the biggest thing is regulating these highs and lows. You're going to achieve everything that you dreamed of achieving, and then your baseline is going to go up, and then your new goal is going to be something way higher than you ever believed you'd achieve. And that's just the reality, is that when you start to achieve success, you're going to naturally reset your baseline. So your gratitude is what allows you to always be happy, but never satisfied, and leads you to continue to hit those goals. So in monitoring your highs and lows when you're an Amazon seller, you're going to see them all the time. At selling on Amazon, it's all about dealing with spontaneous issues that require immediate attention. So you're going to hit your first $10,000 in sales, or your first $100,000 in sales even, and you're going to feel like you're on top of the world. You're going to feel like you're making a crap ton of money, nobody can stop you, and then you're going to get an IP complaint on your Amazon account, or even worse, you might get a Section 3, right? And then it's going to feel like your business is going to shut down. I think the biggest thing in that, what experienced, trained sellers have that maybe beginners don't have right away, is the ability to regulate their highs and lows. To understand that just because you got an IP complaint on your Amazon account doesn't mean it's the end of the world. And at the same time, hit your first 100K in sales, have gratitude for that, but understand that there might be other things coming down the line that you have to prepare for. When I'm going through a bad time, because I've gone through multiple times where I thought in my business that it was going to shut down, between restricted product policy violations, Section 3s in my Amazon marketplace, I thought my business was going to be over. I thought that I literally would not have a business in 6 months. And one thing that I try to tell myself during these times is, this too shall pass. I think it's a really powerful saying, because when you're going through these times, just reminding yourself that in this moment, whether you're feeling absolutely great or like complete shit because of something that's happening in your business, it's going to pass. One of the biggest things that has helped me succeed in my business is writing things down. Writing things down creates action. Over the past 6 years, I have written in my notebook every single night for the next day. And it's crazy because this might seem like a small thing, but planning my schedule for the next day every night has been invaluable in my business. And I want to show you guys something real quick. So this beat up red Walgreens notebook is the notebook that I used to start my business. And it's crazy because I started using this notebook 6 years ago when I started selling on Amazon. And today I still do the same thing. If I don't plan my day the night before, I feel like off the next day, like something is just missing. And I think it just speaks to, creating this habit, right? And that's the biggest thing if you're just starting in selling on Amazon, is creating yourself a habit, because it's going to produce results. Everybody talks about morning routines and everything, and I don't do any of that. I wake up in the morning and within 15 minutes I'm working, but the planning happens the night before. So I write down exactly what I'm going to do for the next day. This allows me to focus on the action right when I get up and get right into the work. The next thing that I see very common with successful Amazon sellers is just this unwillingness to quit. Most people think Amazon is going to be easy. Then reality hits, the suppliers say no, and the business isn't so easy anymore. They don't take no for an answer. They have grit, and they're just not willing to give up no matter what Amazon throws at them or the obstacles that present themselves in this business. Rather than making excuses, successful Amazon sellers find solutions. And I said it earlier on, Amazon is a business where you're going to have to deal with spontaneous issues that require immediate attention. So you have to always be ready to pivot and adapt. It's what makes a successful Amazon seller. You're going to deal with different issues in your Amazon business, like intellectual property complaints. So let's say you get your first product and you start selling it on Amazon, and maybe you're doing retail or online arbitrage, you buy it from a store, and a brand issues you an IP complaint. When you get your first IP complaint, it might feel like it's the end of the world, but the successful sellers are able to pivot from this and find ways to get that IP claim off their account, whether it's reaching out to the brand and getting that authorization, successful sellers just find ways to push through the challenges and overcome them. Guys, I'm going to give you an example. Last year in 2024, Amazon completely revamped their logistics network, and this affected our business tenfold. I mean, I literally had to relearn all of the shipping that we did in our business. And this is 5-6 years into selling on Amazon. And I basically had to restart and train all of our staff and develop new systems for how we ship our products into Amazon. And Amazon's going to make these changes again, probably in a couple years. So that's the biggest thing, is that Amazon constantly makes changes, and the sellers that succeed in this business are the ones that just find ways. No matter what Amazon throws at you, they're just willing to push through it. They're determined to overcome those obstacles and achieve success in their business. Another piece of advice if you're thinking about selling on Amazon is people are going to think you're crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. When I told people I was going to build a business selling stuff online, they said I was insane. And let me tell you something. It's noise.
What the hell is Brad doing? He's trying to do this online.
Where the hell am I? What is Brad doing? He's trying to do this online thing. I've heard these things many times when I started my Amazon business. And let me tell you guys something. It's noise. You need to shut out the noise. The last thing we want to have is negativity from other people around us in our life at a moment that we're starting a business and trying to put all of our attention and focus into this business. Amazon is going to throw enough issues at you that you have to deal with and obstacles. The last thing we want to deal with is to start entertaining these negative thoughts or beliefs that people around you might be saying. When you make your decision to start selling on Amazon, people may try to steer you off course because it's different, they don't understand it, and guys, approach this with empathy. People don't understand it because they've never done it. They're not willing to, again, change their mindset and have this paradigm shift. And they never actually go through that paradigm shift. Most people never experience what an entrepreneur is going to experience with a paradigm shift. So just approaching it with empathy, but more importantly, just cut out the noise. These are not things you need to be dealing with when you're just starting your business. Put the blinders on and focus on what you need to do in your business. These people are not like you, and that's okay. Just don't expect them to understand. Cut out the noise, make a decision, stick to the plan, and execute. For me personally, when I started my business, I actually kept it a secret for the longest time. Now, I'm not saying that you should do this, but if you're worried about the judgment from other people and hearing negativity, there's no reason to broadcast to the world that you're starting a business. The one who has the most success just does work in silence. There's something powerful about just working in silence, and then out of nowhere, a year, 2 years later, who's this guy? Where did he come from? Just focus on the process, and if there are not people in your life that are reinforcing and being positive about what you're doing, cut it out because it's not going to serve you and where you're trying to go as an entrepreneur. So now, instead of talking to people in your everyday life who might not understand what you're doing, it's so important to surround yourself with like-minded people. And this is one of the most important things. And it's something I held out on a little bit in the beginning when I first started my business, which was joining a community. I was using the information that they gave me in Facebook groups and watching YouTube videos, and I was using this as motivation to propel me forward. I was looking up to people who were successful in the business, and I was modeling what I was doing after them. And because of this, it allowed me to achieve success faster. The only thing I would have done more as a beginner is actually surrounding myself with more of a community. I was fortunate enough to have met my business partner, Brandon. And I think having business partners kind of gets a bad rap, but the ability to have somebody to bounce ideas off of and having more than one person with a vested interest in the company, it really allows you to propel the business forward much faster. You don't need a business partner though, but you need support. Surrounding yourself with a support system and people in the community who are working towards achieving similar goals is going to be so beneficial to you as a new Amazon seller. Again, if you're in a situation where people around you aren't understanding, you don't want to feel like an alien, right? You want to surround yourself with people, whether it means going to networking events or joining Facebook groups or communities. This is the most important thing, because by surrounding yourself with success, you're going to be much more likely to succeed. Success breeds success. The next piece of advice that I want to talk about is knowing and understanding your why. Everyone gets into selling on Amazon for a certain reason, whether it's lack of fulfillment in your current job, or you're just tired of trading time for money, or you just want to spend more time with your friends and family and do the things that you enjoy. Or maybe you just want to have a career path that has unlimited potential on how much money you can make. No matter what your why is, I encourage you to take some time and think about, why are you getting into the business of selling on Amazon, and what do you ultimately want to achieve out of it? Take that why, grab onto it, and do not let it go. When you combine an unwillingness to quit with a powerful why, this is going to be what makes you a successful Amazon seller. Realistic expectations. When you first make the decision to start selling on Amazon, you're going to spend a certain amount of time in the information gathering stage. During this time, you're going to see a lot of things on social media. People are going to tell you how easy it is to make money in this business. They're going to be flashing a lot of shiny things in front of you. They're going to be saying, oh, all you have to do is buy 50 bottles of shampoo at $5 a piece and make $10 per unit, and it's so easy to make $1,000 or $10,000 in this business. And the truth is, yes, you can make a ton of money in this business, but it's not how these online gurus make it out to be. And that being said, let's take a moment and talk about the financial realities of this business. Amazon FBA is an inventory-based business. What that means is that you need to continue to reinvest the capital that you make in your business into new products. If you're not reinvesting your capital, your business is not growing. In the beginning, I usually say in the first year of starting an Amazon business, you're probably not going to pay yourself. The reason for this is because in order to scale your business, you need to take the profits that you make on the products that you sell and reinvest them into new products in order to grow your business. So it's super important to understand that there is sales volume, which is your top line sales that you're going to sell in your Amazon business. So just because somebody showed you that they sold $100,000 in a month on Amazon does not mean that they made $100,000 a month. There are a bunch of expenses that break down. You have to factor in your cost of goods sold, your Amazon fees. Maybe you have a warehouse. You have to factor in your warehouse expense, or maybe you're paying employees. These are all things you have to consider when somebody shows you their sales number. Profitability is what's left after all of those expenses, but profitability doesn't necessarily mean cash flow. That's because in an inventory-based business, like we said before, you have to take profits and reinvest them back into the business. After the first year of reinvesting your capital back into your business, it's probably a good idea to start paying yourself something. And believe me, there is no doubt that Amazon FBA can make you rich, but it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to take understanding your numbers and how much profit you're making on Amazon so that you can pay yourself that first $10,000 or that first $100,000. And if you understand your numbers and you understand the differences between sales volume and profitability and cash flow, it's going to allow you to be in a position where you're setting realistic expectations and continuing to stay motivated rather than looking at some online guru's sales numbers and thinking that that's what they're making in a single month. So having these realistic expectations just sets you up for long-term success. Which leads me into focusing on the process. Probably like you, I got into this business because I wanted to increase the amount of money that I made. But it's kind of weird because when I first started, money wasn't really the focus. Yes, I wanted to make money, but the focus was on doing the work. I see that quite frequently with Amazon sellers that succeed. They become obsessed with mastering their art. Whether it's Amazon arbitrage or wholesale or private label and you're starting your own brand, no matter what it is, they become obsessed with it. And I really think that's what it takes to succeed. Yes, we're all in this business to make a lot of money, but it's not just about the money. And in fact, I would argue in the beginning, it's not about the money at all. It's about learning the process and gaining the skill set so that you can make more money long term. When I first started, I was spending tons and tons of time in these retail stores, sourcing products, bringing them home, packaging them up, shipping them into Amazon. I was spending tons of time sourcing wholesale suppliers, trying to find the right brands, contacting brands. And I was doing all of this, working like 80 hours a week. And for the amount of money that I was making, it made no financial sense. But what that accomplished for me was a skill set. And the skill set is what has made me a lot of money in my Amazon business. So the more time you can spend perfecting your art, the more money you're going to make long term and the more success you're going to have in this business. So in the beginning, maybe you're putting in a lot of work and it doesn't really feel like you're making any money for the amount of work that you're putting in. This is okay. Just keep doing the work. And I'm telling you that maybe even if you're first starting out and you're gated in everything and it feels like you can't sell anything on Amazon and you're doing arbitrage, I was there. I understand how that is. Just put your trust in the process. And every time you have a hurdle or it feels like you go one step forward and two steps back, just remember that the long-term process is what you're working towards. So trust the process, keep learning, and immerse yourself in this business. This leads me into the next thing that I wanted to talk about, which is singular focus.
The crypto market is booming. This is the next big thing.
No, this is where the real money.
Drop shipping is the future.
No, you need to sell digital products.
Amazon is dead. Start this instead.
This is quite literally, I think, the biggest factor in what makes a successful Amazon seller. When you are first starting out, the ability to cut everything else out and focus on one thing will propel you forward so much faster than somebody who's trying to do a million things at once. So for me, when I first started, I went home and the first thing I did was I searched how do I make money online, and I was searching for all different ways. I found drop shipping, I found selling on eBay, affiliate marketing, and then somewhere along the road, I stumbled on Amazon FBA. And from there, I focused on Amazon FBA, but there was several different business models within Amazon FBA. And for me, I actually started in private label. I started in private label. I was learning the process. I even got a sample of a product manufactured in China. And it was right around this point when I just chose to completely abandon the process because I didn't have enough capital for private label. I then found myself jumping into retail arbitrage, and I continued to learn the process of shipping products into Amazon, finding profitable products, and understanding the logistics and ins and outs of selling on Amazon. And then at some point, I transitioned from arbitrage into wholesale. And then I focused 100% on wholesale. And looking back on it, I appreciate the private label experience. I appreciate the retail and online arbitrage experience because it allowed me to learn the skill set and learn Amazon's logistics. But it wasn't until when I focused 100% on wholesale when I just saw massive results. The faster you can focus your attention on one business model, whether it's private label, whether it's arbitrage or wholesale, the more results you're going to get for your business and the faster it's going to grow. If I leave you with one thing in this video, it's take massive action. Action is the enemy of thought, and if you walk away from this video with one thing, it's just to start doing the work. I see too many sellers remain in the information gathering stage for far too long. There's nothing wrong with learning and doing research and planning, and they're absolutely necessary to starting a business. But I see new Amazon sellers, they're learning, and then I see them again, in 2 months, and they're still learning. And I think that just taking the action of starting your business and doing the tasks like contacting suppliers if it's wholesale, or scanning products in the store if it's retail arbitrage, or shipping your products into Amazon, even if you're not making a ton of money on them, just learning that process. You learn by doing, and that's how you gain the experience to propel you forward. When you're an Amazon seller, the process of learning never ends. 6 years into this business, and I still learn new things every single day while I'm doing the work. You can do this. I know it might seem overwhelming at first, but when you put your effort into the work, everything just seems to come together. Dive into the process, start doing the work, and don't look back. See you in the next video. Let's go.